One of the most difficult questions in all of physics is the nature of the strong force. The strong force is an enigmatic force that binds protons and neutrons into an extremely dense atomic nucleus despite the Coulomb repulsion between the protons.
In the first 3/4 of the 20th century, nuclear physicists study the 300 or so stable nuclei in the Valley of Stability, which is shown in black. We are now focused on the remaining 3,000 or so exotic radioactive nuclei outside of the valley in order to create theoretical models that can successfully describe the full array of nuclear phenomena. Many models of the atomic nucleus have been proposed to explain the observed behavior of the strong force. One particular model that has been somewhat successful in explaining the strong force is the shell model. The shell model of the nucleus is similar to the Bohr model of the atom, with electrons traveling in energy levels around the nucleus. In the Bohr model, when the outermost electron level from the nucleus is completely full, the atom is stable. This is why the noble gases, which all have whole outer energy levels, rarely bond with other elements. Similarly, in the shell model of the nucleus, protons and neutrons travel in different shells according to their energy. When a proton or neutron shell is full, the energy required to remove a nucleon, a proton or neutron, from that shell increases because the shell is in a stable configuration. Another feature of the nuclear shell model is that when a nucleon makes a downward energy transition from one shell to another, it emits a gamma ray with energy equal to the difference in energy between the two levels. This is a simple consequence of conservation of energy. By observing the energies of these gamma rays and how often gamma rays of each energy occur, it's possible to map out an energy level structure of the nucleus and calculate the probability of different modes of decay and different energy transitions. This data, collected for a wide range of nuclei, might someday explain the strong force. We are currently finishing our project at the National Superconducting Cyclotron Laboratory, or the NSCL. The NSCL is the national leader in creating cocktail beams of exotic nuclei with which scientists conduct experiments that push the very boundaries of the strong force. These beams are collided with reaction targets which excite the nuclei in the beams, which then de-excite and emit gamma rays. In these experiments, there are many different types of reaction targets that can be used depending on what the experimenter is trying to measure.
The Ursinus College liquid hydrogen target is meant to replace a traditional plastic or deuterated plastic target in thick target applications. Thick targets are useful for many reactions, such as thick target inverse kinematics, proton scattering, or charge exchange. These reactions focus on the interaction between the beam nuclei and the protons in the target. Unfortunately, when a plastic target is used, the carbon in the target excites nuclei in the beam. Worse still, the carbon nuclei themselves are also excited. The gamma rays from these excitations are not of interest. By removing the carbon and instead creating a thick target of hydrogen, the proton density of the target is largely increased and the carbon gamma rays are eliminated. The Ursinus College liquid hydrogen target is modeled after the liquid hydrogen target constructed by H. Ryuto et al. At Riken in Japan. The target system is composed of several main parts: the cryocooler, a radiation shield, a heater block, a copper cold finger, and the target cell. The system is placed in a special beam tube through which the beam is delivered. The hydrogen enters through a gas line directly into the copper cold finger, which is then cooled to cryogenic temperatures around 17 Kelvin, the liquefying temperature of hydrogen, by the cryocooler, and condenses into the target cell. Attached to the copper cold finger is a heater block, which is attached to a laptop running temperature control software, which heats and cools the heater block in order to control the temperature of the copper cold finger. The temperature of the hydrogen must be kept around 17 Kelvin in order to prevent freezing or evaporation of the hydrogen, which could block the system. The target cell is a hollow aluminum cylinder with two 125 micron thick Kapton foil windows to contain the hydrogen. Around parts of the refrigerator and the target cell is an aluminum radiation shield, which shields the apparatus from infrared radiation from the warmer material surrounding it in order to keep the hydrogen in liquid form, while also being thin enough to allow gamma rays to penetrate it and be detected. The target itself is connected to a complex gas handling system which supplies and disposes of the hydrogen for the target cell in a safe manner. The target is connected to a reservoir of gaseous hydrogen which condenses in the target cell when the refrigerator is operating. Two different pumps are used with the target, a turbopump and a roughing pump. The turbopump is used to maintain vacuum in the beamline. The roughing pump serves as the backing pump for the turbopump and is also used to remove the hydrogen from the gas system at the end of an experiment. In the event of a rupture of the target cell, gate valves close at either end of the beamline, isolating the cell and the turbopump, which pumps the hydrogen into the roughing pump and into a vent line which removes the gas from the experimental vault. Evacuating pure hydrogen through the vent could result in a flammable ratio of hydrogen to oxygen in the vault. In order to keep the ratio of hydrogen below the flammable range, nitrogen is vented along with the hydrogen gas in such a way that the mixing ratio between hydrogen and nitrogen in the vent is lower than 3%, making the emissions from the system non-flammable.
In order to analyze gamma ray measurements made with the target, we must create a computer simulation of the target in order to calculate how the placement of the target in the array will affect the array's efficiency in detecting gamma rays. So far, we've simulated the liquid hydrogen target in the segmented germanium array, or SEGA. SEGA is made up of two rings of detectors at 37 and 90 degrees from the beamline. We used a program called GEANT4 to create a model of the target to place in the array, and were able to simulate the collection of gamma ray events. According to our simulations, the target decreases the efficiency of the array by 12% in the 90-degree ring and 3% in the 37-degree ring. This reduction in efficiency is more than made up for by the gains due to increased proton density and purity, no carbon, of the target. Currently, we have constructed the frame for the target and have vacuum tested the system. We've set up the computer software to control and monitor the temperature of the target cell from a remote location as well. The simulation of the system in SEGA has also been completed.
However, there is still work to be done before our liquid hydrogen target is complete. The capstan foils are scheduled to be completed this week, and we are testing the cooling system this week as well. Hopefully, early next week, we will start assembly of the gas handling system. Once that is complete, we can start testing our system with neon gas. We will test with neon because it is not flammable and it condenses at about the same temperature as hydrogen. Complications may arise while testing. However, after a successful test of the system, the target will be completed and be ready for experiments.